All right. Thank you so much. And no worries about the Zoom. I know it's so frustrating trying to get the technology to work. Some days it's better than others, and so yeah, it happens. It's all part of our practice in the modern age. First, I just want to thank I want to thank Gyoke-san so much for inviting me to your temple. I was very moved by the ceremony, especially the reciting of all the members' names. I heard one back all the way to the 1960s, and it just shows me like how much history you have right there in this temple. And I'm just impressed by the just all of the people and the generations that have made Sozenji Temple a temple. Here in Iowa, Zen Fields, where we don't actually have even a physical location. Here's the temple behind me. We've got a couple images of the Buddha. We've got some bodhisattvas on the altar, and we're zooming out from here. And then we use other spaces. We use a Quaker meeting. We use the Pure Land of Iowa to work from. So we're in very early stages, and who knows where it will go, what will happen with it. But in any case, I just say that because just to contrast with the feeling that I have in hearing the ceremony and all of the people that came together to make Sozenji a valued temple for you. And I want to express my deepest appreciation for that. And again, for the invitation to come speak, especially on such a sacred holiday, the Hanamatsuri. It was wonderful to see that beautiful image of the Buddha and all of the flowers surrounding the Buddha and the pouring of the water on the head of the Buddha. It just brought back memories of training with my teacher and chanting to the Buddha. And that's such a precious ceremony. We yeah, so anyways, thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. I'm really grateful for that. Yeah. So I'll just be as I want to be brief. I want to share basically three things. um, and I want to circle around one of your previous ministers, Reverend Tom Karai, whom I knew personally. He came when I was training at Mount Equity Zendo with my teacher. He came to Mount Equity Zendo on two occasions to teach us, and they were very, very impactful for me. He inspired me to learn the taiko and to use it as a means of Zen practice. And my teacher really, really appreciated Reverend Karai's way of way of expressing Zen in the world. So he did so much with the taiko drum, taking it to hospitals and playing with various groups. And the name of his group, I remember, or at least maybe one of the albums, was Satori Daiko, which I think that's such a wonderful expression of seeing his playing of the taiko as his form of Zen practice. So Zen isn't just about zazen or ritual. Anything has the potential to be Zen practice. And I know traditionally in Japan, you have things like shodo, the way of the brush. You've got flower arrangement. There's kendo, all of the dos, all of the ways of practicing. And these ways are meant to help us see that everything is potential. Everything is potential for practice. And for Reverend Kurai, the Odaiko was the his manifestation of practice. I just accidentally, maybe a little over a week ago, I came across a Dharma Eye magazine, one of the first ones that was published. And who did I see in it? It was an article about Reverend Karai. So I thought, wonderful, I can explore this article and maybe share a little bit. So I have a few quotes from Reverend Karai, in this article that he wrote for Dharma Eye. He says, quote, "Before I knew I wanted to be a priest, I wanted to become a taiko player." I just thought, wow, just how how devoted he was to taiko, and he put that right in Dharma Eye. So it goes to show us that we might have multiple ways of expressing the Dharma in our life. And just to encourage, I found that very encouraging. What does it mean for me or any of us, any of my colleagues, to be a priest, to be a Zen priest? What does that mean? Or if you're not a priest, what does it mean to practice the way of the Buddha, the Butsudo? What does it mean to practice the way of the Buddha? It could be chanting, it could be zazen, it could be a myriad of other things, though. It could be taking care of our family, it could be the particular job that we have. There's so many ways we can manifest practice. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. The second thing is that Reverend Karai, I think he challenges us to make what we love doing into Zen practice. Here's the thing. Oftentimes we associate practice with something maybe that's difficult, something that we feel like we're obliged to do or we have to do. But I think one of the gifts that Reverend Karai offers us is that he's challenging each of us to turn what we love doing into Zen practice, right? Whatever it is that we love doing. He says, quote, "The sound of the taiko represents the voice of the Buddha calling us to listen to the Dharma." That's wonderful. The sound of the taiko, when you hear the drum, boom, it's the voice of the Buddha calling us to listen to the Dharma. So when we think about what we love to do, could that not also be the voice of the Buddha calling us to hear the Dharma, right? Sound, in the case of the taiko, to me, there's a lot of obvious associations between the taiko and the Dharma. It, for one thing, to hear the sound, that dong, really awakens, it has the potential to awaken us to the present moment in a very intimate way. We stop everything that we're doing and we listen because it just demands it. We don't have to think about it. Right? That's the Dharma isn't necessarily something we have to think about it. Just like the drum beat, boom, you hear it. There's not the ear doesn't decide to hear, it just does, right? And that just does is awakening us to this moment now, what's happening right now. And to expand on that a little bit, music itself can potentially wake us up. Have you ever felt sad or depressed or anxious, and you played a particular song that met your emotion in that moment, and all of a sudden you feel heard, or you feel like, yeah, that sound is expressing how I feel right now, and somebody else made that sound. Somebody understands how I feel. Music can communicate with us in a very deep way like that. So even in the lifespan chapter, I didn't realize we were going to chant the lifespan chapter, Juyo Honge, this morning. I didn't realize we were going to recite the Juyo Honge. So I was really delighted. I hadn't chanted in Japanese since I was in Japan. And there's a line in English, in the English version of it, the English translation, that goes, "The heavenly beings beat celestial drums, ever making pleasing music, showering white mandarava flowers over Buddha and the great assembly." Right? The heavenly beings beat celestial drums, ever making pleasing music. I just um, the third point I want to make, and the last point I want to make, is the emphasis on body, on the body-mind connection. So, okay, yeah, thanks. So the third point I want to make is what I learned from Reverend Karai is this emphasis on body-mind connection. I, in the West, we have this real, and I think it's actually worldwide now. It's a real sickness. It's a sickness where we have separated out body and mind. We live and think as though these two things are separate. And one of the greatest gifts, not only of Tom Karai, Reverend Karai, but of Zen in general, is the non-separation of body and mind. Body and mind are one, and that gets expressed in our life in every moment potentially. But all of Zen practice aims to help us keep body and mind together. It's not like when we're sitting in meditation, it's not like we're thinking about attaining enlightenment. We're not thinking about trying to get some insight. We're just sitting upright. And our physical body itself is the expression of enlightenment beyond our thinking about it. The same goes with Taiko and all of the martial arts, where there's this emphasis on body awareness, on breath, on breathing properly. This is very, very healing for people like me that come from the West and we separate mind and body out. I think it's very healing for people in general to come to Zen teachings and see how Zen practice integrates body and mind. So from this is again the last quote from Reverend Karai. He says, the power and strength needed to play the taiko does not come from the muscles, but comes from the hara. As in the martial arts, the stomach is where the ki, or energy, is stored. So this is, again, this non-separation between energy and body. This is where our energy or spirit is released to play the taiko. Besides meaning energy, ki also means heart, mind, spirit, and soul. Right? This ki-I. So just to notice the integration, in his words, of body and mind. Playing the taiko is not separate from ki, not separate from our spirit, from our breath, even from our soul. So in conclusion, on this Hanamatsuri, honorable celebration, may we remember and make present Reverend Karai. Surely he is beating a heavenly drum right now as we prepare and as we continue to welcome the baby Buddha. Can we hear Reverend Karai's heavenly drum? Thank you.